Believe it or not, the halls of power in the comic book world have seen some pretty unexpected faces. From wisecracking ducks to tyrannical demons and even a certain god of thunder, the political landscape of comics has had its fair share of shocking shakeups. So grab your ballots and get ready to cast your vote as we count down the top 10 comic book characters who became president. Kicking off our list is a blast from the past that might just surprise you. Augustus Mutt from the classic comic strip Mutt and Jeff was one of the very first comic characters to ever run for president. Way back in 1928, this lovably goofy character decided to give politics a shot, offering a satirical take on the political climate of the Roaring '20s. While Mutt may not have any superpowers or a dramatic origin story, his campaign was a hilarious commentary on the absurdity of political campaigns. He even had his own campaign song, "I Want to Be President," which perfectly captured the spirit of the time. Augustus Mutt may not be a household name today, but his early foray into the world of comic book politics paved the way for the many colorful characters who would follow in his footsteps. While he may not have reached the Oval Office yet, Wilson Fisk, the notorious kingpin of crime, has set his sights on political power. In Daredevil Volume 1, number 600, he becomes the mayor of New York City, using his influence to crack down on superheroes and further his criminal agenda. This storyline highlights the potential danger of a figure like Kingpin gaining legitimate political power. He manipulates the system, exploits public fear, and uses his authority to target those who oppose him. In an alternate reality explored in Daredevil, Volume 5, number 1, Kingpin actually achieves his ultimate goal and becomes president of the United States. This what-if scenario depicts a totalitarian regime where Kingpin rules with an iron fist, suppressing dissent and consolidating his control over the country. These storylines, while not part of the main Marvel continuity, offer a glimpse into Kingpin's political ambitions and the potential consequences of his rise to power. It's a chilling reminder that even without superpowers, individuals like Kingpin can wield immense influence and pose a significant threat to the very foundations of democracy. This cigar-chomping, quip-slinging duck from Marvel Comics may seem like an odd choice for president, but in the wild world of comics, anything is possible. Back in 1976, Howard the Duck actually threw his feathered hat into the ring, running on a platform of reform and truth-telling as the candidate for the all-night party. Now, Howard may not have any superpowers in the traditional sense, but he's a master of Kwok Fu, a unique martial art that he uses to defend himself against all kinds of threats. He's also incredibly intelligent and resourceful, able to outsmart even the most cunning adversaries. Howard's origin story is a bit of a wild ride. He was originally from Duck World, a planet similar to Earth but inhabited by anthropomorphic ducks. After a bizarre series of events involving a cosmic axis shift, he found himself stranded on our planet where he's been trying to make the best of a bad situation ever since. While Howard's presidential campaign was ultimately unsuccessful, it was a hilarious and memorable moment in comic book history. He even had his own campaign button with the slogan, "Get Down America." Howard's campaign was a satirical masterpiece, poking fun at the political process and highlighting the absurdity of real-world elections. It's a classic example of how comic books can use humor and satire to comment on social and political issues. This dark and brooding hero from the Squadron Supreme universe is Marvel's answer to Batman, but with a twist. Unlike the Caped Crusader, Nighthawk, also known as Kyle Richmond, actually managed to become president of the United States. Nighthawk is a skilled martial artist and strategist with a range of gadgets and abilities that make him a formidable crime fighter. He gained his powers through an alchemical potion that enhanced his strength, agility, and durability, especially at night. However, Nighthawk's path to the presidency wasn't without its challenges. He was once brainwashed by the villainous Overmind, turning him against his fellow heroes. But he eventually broke free from Overmind's control and continued his fight for justice, eventually leading him to the Oval Office. Nighthawk's presidency is a fascinating example of how a hero can use their skills and experience to make a real difference in the world. It also highlights the complex relationship between power and responsibility, a recurring theme in comic book stories. Nighthawk's presidency is a fascinating example of how a hero can use their skills and experience to make a real difference in the world. It also highlights the complex relationship between power and responsibility, a recurring theme in comic book stories. This character from the Belgian comic book series Vier Teen is a master manipulator who climbed the political ladder to become president. But behind his charming facade lies a dark secret. He was the leader of a shadowy organization known as XX, responsible for the assassination of his own brother, the previous president. Sheridan's story is a twisted tale of political intrigue and betrayal. He used his position of power to further his own agenda, manipulating events and eliminating those who stood in his way. His presidency is a chilling reminder that even the most seemingly trustworthy individuals can harbor dark secrets and sinister ambitions. Overshadow, the main antagonist of the new universe titled DP7, is a force to be reckoned with. He possesses the unique ability to absorb the powers of any paranormal being he encounters, making him a constantly evolving threat. Imagine facing a villain who can steal your powers and use them against you. That's the terrifying reality of Overshadow. He used his abilities to amass a vast array of powers, forming his own superpowered army and eventually seizing control of the United States. Overshadow's presidency was a reign of terror, marked by his ruthless ambition and insatiable hunger for power. He's a prime example of how unchecked power can corrupt even the most gifted individuals. Now here's a candidate you wouldn't expect to see on the ballot: Etrigan the Demon, a rhyming demon from the depths of DC Comics. In a satirical storyline, Etrigan decided to run for president, and surprisingly, his campaign gained some serious traction. People were drawn to Etrigan's unconventional approach and his brutally honest and often rhyming rhetoric. He didn't shy away from his demonic nature, embracing his evil side and promising to bring a fiery change to the political landscape. While Etrigan's campaign was ultimately a commentary on the state of politics, it's a hilarious example of how comic books can use even the most outlandish characters to make a point. Graydon Creed, the human son of the mutant villains Sabretooth and Mystique, is a character fueled by hate and prejudice. He used anti-mutant hysteria to propel his political career, exploiting people's fears to gain power. Creed's campaign was a disturbing reflection of real-world prejudice and the dangers of political extremism. He demonized mutants, scapegoating them for society's problems and promising to protect humanity from their supposed threat. Creed's presidency is a cautionary tale about the seductive nature of power and the devastating consequences of intolerance. In the DC Comics universe, Prez Rickard made history as the first teenage president of the United States. After a constitutional amendment lowered the age of eligibility to 18, Rickard was elected to the highest office, ushering in an era of youthful leadership. Rickard's presidency was a wild ride, filled with surreal events and unexpected challenges. He faced everything from giant eagles to talking coyotes, all while trying to navigate the complexities of political life. Prez Rickard's story is a unique and often bizarre exploration of youth, idealism, and the challenges of leadership in a world that's anything but ordinary. And finally, topping our list is none other than Superman's arch-nemesis, Lex Luthor. This brilliant but ruthless businessman and scientist has a long and complicated history with the presidency. In the main DC Comics continuity, Luthor was elected president after using his vast wealth and resources to rebuild Gotham City following a devastating earthquake. He presented himself as a savior, a man of action who could get things done when others couldn't. However, Luthor's presidency was marked by corruption and his relentless obsession with destroying Superman. He used his power to further his own agenda, manipulating events and undermining those who opposed him. Luthor has also been president in alternate universes, such as in The Dark Knight Strikes Again and Superman Red Son. In these stories, he often uses his intellect and resources to achieve his goals, even if it means resorting to extreme measures. Lex Luthor's presidency is a fascinating study in power, ambition, and the corrupting influence of unchecked ego. It's a reminder that even the most brilliant minds can be driven by darkness and that the pursuit of power can come at a great cost. From satirical ducks to power-hungry villains, the comic book world's political stage is as diverse and dramatic as its superhero battles. If these shocking presidential shakeups have you craving more tales of unexpected twists, you absolutely need to dive into our previous video where we explored the surprising number of superheroes who've done hard time. Click on the video now and discover which beloved heroes found themselves behind bars.